Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the Gospel of Matthew. Today we're looking at Matthew chapter 24, verses 29 through 31. Jesus is talking to us about last things, the end times, the second coming. To pick up the reading today, he is discussing the return of the Son of Man, the return of Jesus, the second advent. He says, immediately after the distress of those days. Remember in our last session, we saw they talked about the distress or the great tribulation that would occur toward the end. So immediately after the tribulation, at the end of it, the sun will be darkened. The moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky. The heavenly bodies will be shaken. Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. What a wonderful announcement of the coming. Jesus says that the distress that he talked about yesterday, we looked at, the distress will be great. There'll be false teachers, false prophets, persecution. Many might be deceived if they're not careful. But at the end of that distress, when all appears most grim from an earthly perspective, the Lord himself will return. There will be cataclysmic event in the sky. The heavenly bodies will be shaken, and all will see the Son of Man return. Now, the peoples of the earth, that is, those who do not believe, will mourn and grieve and wail, for he comes to judge the world, and all who are not on his side will feel his judgment. But those who believe, his faithful, those who hold to him, he will send his angels to gather them from the distress and gather them to himself as the King returns. Now notice that the second coming, the second advent of Jesus, his return, is not a secret event. It is not a hidden event, but a very public demonstration of his power and of his glory. For when he comes, every eye will see that the King, the rightful King, has returned to establish the fullness of his kingdom, to deliver his people from oppression, from the tribulation, and to establish his kingdom on the earth. And those who are in opposition to him, those who will not believe, those who have been persecuting the church, they will know that the time of judgment has come, for the King has returned. No wonder the second coming is called the blessed hope of the church. We long for the day when Jesus will return. You know, whenever I read this passage or think of the second coming, I'm reminded of the old Gaither hymn, "The King is coming. The King is coming. Yes, the King is coming. I just heard the trumpet sounding, and now his face I see. Oh, the King, he is coming. The King is coming. Praise God, he's coming for me." The day will come when the King will return, when Jesus will come back. He said he would. He said, "I will return," and it will be a very public event as all the world sees and recognizes that Jesus and Jesus alone is King. You remember the ascension, when Jesus was taken from the disciples up into heaven. They watched him go, and they were gazing up into the heavens. And an angel said to them, "Why do you stand gazing into the heavens? He will return in the same way as you've seen him go," and he will. We don't know when. We don't know the day. We don't know the hour. In a few verses on, in the next few days, we'll get to that passage. Jesus reminds us of this. We don't know the exact hour, but we do know the certainty that our King will return. And when he comes, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus is Lord. Even unbelievers, as judgment comes, will recognize that he is the King. He is the Lord. It is the hope of the church, the return of Jesus, the second coming. You have a great day today, and I'll see you next time as we continue our look at Jesus' discussion of the second coming, what he teaches us. So we'll see you next time for our 5-minute Bible study in the Gospel of Matthew.